Good Monday morning, dear ones. I hope you had a wonderful, restful, relaxing weekend and that you did something special for yourself this weekend. I bought myself a beautiful bunch of flowers just to cheer up, because obviously we're still not allowed out. We're still not allowed to do the things that we all really would like to do, and perhaps that is meeting up in a beer garden and having a good meal with some laughs and some chats and everything as well. So to all the Irish mammies, it was Mother's Day yesterday. I hope you had a wonderful spoil day and that you received all of the love from everybody that you deserved. So today we're continuing with the universal laws, and we are on number 10, the law of polarity. This law says that everything in life has an opposite: good and evil, love and fear, warmth and cold. The key is understanding that these are all two sides of the same coin. Now, just to interrupt myself, I want to remind you that the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is fear. Now, let that sink in and allow it to really marinate so that you can seriously consider what that means. So very often we think that hate is what the opposite of love is, but fear is actually the opposite of love. So when we're looking at loving ourselves, what stops us from loving ourselves the most? Fear. Fear of what other people might think of us, fear of what we present to the world, and so many other fears. Fears that we are not good enough. Most of the time, those fears are not deep-seated in our own, they're deep-seated in our subconscious from our life that we have lived, formative years, and not necessarily from our conscious thoughts. So we are very often hobbled by the idea of the fear that we are not good enough. Now, when we're looking at this law, if you're experiencing a difficult situation like a breakup or a health challenge, for example, we need to tune into what the opposite looks like. So very, very often it's always this side that we're concentrating on, and we're perhaps not gaining. So this is also the law of attraction. We're sending out the fear and we're getting it back, and we're not understanding why. And this is exactly why we need to learn to focus. This is the polarity. It's the opposite ends situations. It's the yin and the yang. Whenever anybody looks at a yin-yang symbol, you see that there's always a little bit of white in the black, and there's a little bit of black in the white. And that is because no matter how bad something is, there's always a silver lining. And no matter how good something is, there probably is a little bit of toxicity in that as well. And so we need to balance ourselves. And that's, if you look at the yin-yang symbol as well, there's a lot of balance in that. There's an equal. We look at the universe as well. As above, so below. We look at matter, we look at antimatter, and we look at the Big Bang as well. And we understand why we actually have matter in this universe. Different scientific chat for a different time, but if you are wanting to debate it with me, please by all means do contact me directly. So when we are looking at the law of polarity, this law states that everything is on a continuum and has an opposite. We can suppress and transform undesirable thoughts by concentrating on the opposite pole. It is the law of mental vibrations. Once again, we come back to the law of attraction and the law of oneness. It's all the same. So when we look at the things that are going through our minds, the thoughts of not feeling good enough, the thoughts of I'm a bad person, or I'm not loving enough, or all of the thoughts of fear. Because if you really break it down, what hobbles us most in our lives are the thoughts of fear. Fear of what the world thinks of us, fear of how we present ourselves to the world, and the fear of not being loved, the fear of not being accepted. We are, after all, here to have the human experience. And human beings are social animals, and it is so important for us to feel a part of something. If we look at our base chakra, we look at our red base chakra, and it is about our right to be here. And it is where we feel in our community. And very often, if you're the black sheep of the family, you'll probably find that there are issues in your base chakra where you didn't feel that you were a part of something, and where you are in your family and your community and in yourself and in the world as such. So when we are filled with thoughts of fear, we need to focus on the opposite. Okay, so within everything there is an opposite. One aspect of a quality cannot be experienced without the existence of the opposing aspect. Okay, you cannot only take the good out of a relationship. There is bad as well, and that is with yourself, that is with the earth, that is with every single thing. The good and the bad comes together. And we need to understand how to deal with the bad and how not to focus so much on it, so that we can create more vibrations of the good that we want and that we deserve in this universe. So this law may also be referred to as the law of duality. And I feel it's best expressed by a card from Colette Baron Reed. And this is from her Wisdom of the Hidden Realms deck. And this particular one actually states, the dragon's duel takes place at the proverbial fork in the road, and it represents the tension of opposites. Even though the truth is that we live in unity, we experience the duality of faith and doubt, love and fear, right and wrong, black and white. There are always choices in life. Decision-making also solves inner conflict. If you're torn between two dragons, the one you choose to feed will be the one that wins. Which is it? If it's not the one that serves the highest of your intentions, deliberately feed the other, and the duel will be won in your favor. So this also goes to willpower, and this goes to a little bit of thought discipline. So when we find ourselves constantly in a state of thoughts that create more fear, thoughts that create more wrong in our life, we need to change the neuro-linguistic pathways, the neuro-linguistic programming in our brains, and that can only be done through repetition, and it can only be done through being prepared to change the thought pattern that we have in our mind that vibrates and brings more of the good to us as opposed to the fear vibration. So we are going to be going into that with an exercise at a later stage once I have finished with these laws. There are 2 more. So by the end of the week, we should be able to look at an exercise where we write down the thoughts that we can reprogram our neuro-linguistic pathways with. And if we're able to, instead of knee-jerk reacting to each and everything that happens to us in our lives, if we can actually understand that, hold on a second, this has not served me for the 44 years that I've been on this planet, I need to change it. And how do I change it? I make the opposite real. So the only way to do that is through repetition, and each and every time that really difficult situation comes up, whether it's a difficult conversation or a difficult environment that we're in, each and every time that pops up, we need to remember, be aware of that thought. I am physically going to change my thought right now. And if it means I've got to repeat it until my brain, the computer in my body, understands the command, then that will change. But we'll go into those exercises at a later stage. The importance at the moment is to understand that we have the choice of which dragon we're going to feed. Is it going to be for your highest and greatest good today? Are you going to choose to love yourself with loving and caring thoughts, or are you going to continue with the fearful ones? Just for today, be impeccable with your word. And that comes with the vibration with those words. Be impeccable in your words that you use with yourself, that you think and that come out of you. Just for today, 5 Reiki principles. You know yourselves. Do not worry. Do not anger. Work hard on yourself and do your work honestly as well. Be grateful for all living things. Sorry, I've mixed the two up. Be grateful for everything you have and be kind to all living things. Be impeccable with your word. Do not assume anything. Do not take anything personally. Other people's stuff is not about you. It's only your own stuff is about you. So if you're impeccable with your word, you won't need to take things personally. And of course, the last one is just do your best. And for today, we're going to do that. And we're going to look at the thoughts that we think. And we're going to ask ourselves, are they conducive? Are they for my greatest and highest good? And if they're not, we're going to change them. Have a wonderful Monday. See you tomorrow.